A few weeks ago, I was away and I began getting calls and messages about a video that came out that featured several Christian organizations who run as outlaw in the MC world. One of those clubs is my own, the Forgotten Few. This video appeared on Demon's Row, Sose the Ghost platform, and he dealt with the issue of whether or not a Christian club can run outlaw. Can it be a diamond patch club? And he named 3 clubs specifically or 4 clubs rather, that are doing this. He named the Set Free Soldiers, Christians MC, Forgotten Few MC, and the Deacons. And so, people were asking my feedback. Brothers I know from other clubs are asking my feedback. And so I want to look at the video and give it some feedback, at least in reference to the Forgotten Few. I don't want to speak on the Set Free Soldiers, Christians MC, or the Deacons. It's not my place to do that. They have their own representatives, their own members, whom I'm familiar with, who could do that for themselves. So I will only address the issues that are general to Christian clubs and the issues that are specific to the Forgotten Few.
Outlaw clubs that are Christian. Clubs like the Set Free Soldiers, Christians and Forgotten.
The first thing I would like to address is an error. I don't believe it was intentional. I don't think Sose was trying to defame us, or not defame, but provoke anything out of us. I'm trying to look at this in the best way possible. I think it was just a honest mistake. We all jump into the AI ship, and in AI, it misrepresented our patch. So that is not a true depiction of the Forgotten Few patch that he used in the video. Some brothers were a little, taken back by that, but I'm a reasonable person, and I recognize, in our creativity, sometimes we make mistakes, and I didn't personally take offense to him doing that, although it should be noted that you shouldn't misrepresent patches. So that's the first thing that I would address.
And few put their own twist on diamond culture. In the outlaw world, this is a position you do not want to be in. Today we talk about clubs that wear symbols that most clubs would not touch. Let's get into it.
We run the night, we run the night, run.
Big shout to the Ghosts and the Ghost sets. I'm Sose the Ghost. This is Demon's Row. We talk about the 1%. So much on this program. People sometimes start to think everybody else is soft. We're going to talk about some clubs that did the unthinkable, putting on a diamond patch as a Christian MC. The balls on these dudes. And I got to give an advisory here. This is unicorn shit in the culture. This will not work for you. Don't think about it.
Sose calls it unicorn shit. It is some unicorn shit in a way, and not the way that I think Sose meant it. I think Sose is saying that you don't see diamond patches on Christians in the MC realm. I would disagree. I know of, at least in Southern California, there are several Christian organizations, not just MCs, but MMs, who wear diamonds, right? And their diamonds, are part of the problem I have with some of these clubs. And that is, I think they're trying very hard to get next to outlaws and next to 1%ers, because they have this fantasy about going and praying with them and converting them to Christianity and bringing them to Jesus. But there's a lot of assumptions being made when these guys do this. One, you're assuming that they are not Christian already. You're assuming that they want your prayers. You're assuming that they're welcoming you. And you're assuming that they're not going to do what So says they're going to do if they see you in that patch, right? And we try to mask it by not just saying it's a 1%er patch. What they do is they put, some clever saying on it. And that's what they use to kind of skate by. And because they're the Christian Bible thumpers, then they're not going to get thumped themselves. I used to be affiliated with an organization that wore a diamond like that. Their diamond was about 4 or 5 inches tall. And on it, it had a giant 1 and then a 3 and a 6. This club was running out of a small town out past the IE. This is going into the desert. And they just pretty much, for the most part, functioned in their little area. They functioned in their area and no problems, right? If there were outlaws out there, which there were, they tolerated them or they knew about them, But as soon as I joined, I started taking this thing on the road. And I began to go to places where I was encountering other clubs, other outlaws. And I began to be questioned about this particular patch. And the first time I got questioned, I returned. I told the head of the organization, hey, this is what's going on. Maybe you should set up a meeting and talk to these people. He laughed it off. I go out again. I'm out. I'm by myself, right? So I'm out and I'm hanging out and doing things. And I get hit up again. This time I go back. I say, hey, they hit me up again. You need to set up a meeting and talk to these people. Third time I'm out. I'm with a couple guys. Actually, the second time I was with a couple guys. Or a guy. The third time I'm with a couple guys. And this time it gets a lot more aggressive. Right? It didn't come to blows, but it was a very tense situation. And I go back to him after this. And I say to him, listen, you need to set up this meeting. Because these dudes are serious about what they're saying to us. We're trying to stand our ground. We're giving them the sales pitch, but you're not helping because you're not talking to their leadership. And he still refused to do it, and so I called him on his cowardice. And when I did that, he got upset. Told me I was a heretic, kicked me out the club. And that was all for good because I ended up in the club I'm in now, which is where I needed to be in the first place. So it all worked out. God bless him. But the problem was that they were wearing symbols that they were not willing to represent. They were wearing symbols that were provoking situations. It wasn't an innocent thing. It was, you are wearing something that is antagonistic. Why? Why are you doing that? If you're not going to stand on it, take it off. And that's what I told them. Take it off. So I ended up leaving that club. Obviously, I didn't have a choice. They booted me out. But I ended up finding this club, and I've been happy here ever since. And so that is one of the problems that we see amongst Christian clubs. This fantasy about playing outlaw. It's outlaw cosplay. And they got the shiny cut on, leather cut, or now they're rocking the denim cuts. But they got all these artifact patches on, these historical meaning patches on, and they're not willing. Some of these guys don't even know what they're wearing. There was a situation. I was smoking with a guy. I was herfing with the gentleman, good friend of mine. At that time, I just met him, and he was joining another Christian MC. And this Christian MC rocks a 3-piece patch. And I said, that 3-piece patch means you're a traditional club, an outlaw club. He didn't know what that meant. And I said, you should go find out what that means. You should know what it is you're wearing. It's not a 1-piece patch, or it's not a family club. It's not this, it's not that. What does that mean to wear a 3-piece patch? Blah, blah, blah. So people are sending folks out into the world and they don't even know. I went to the COC here once, and another pretty large Christian organization was trying to come into the area. And so they sent some representatives already patched up, suited and booted. Their game is, what it is. And they had this person go and represent them at the COC. And when they were up presenting their colors to the crowd, to the people, someone asked them, "Are you a 3-piece patch?" They were, based on their cut, a 3-piece patch. He didn't know what it was. They asked him if he knew what it meant to wear that 3-piece patch. And this guy had no clue. His organization, his leadership, had not prepared him for what he was encountering. They sent him out into the world blind, ill prepared, right? And so they basically threw him to the wolves. Now, he didn't get physically assaulted or anything like that, but the point is, you never know what situation you run into, and you don't even know what you're wearing. You're wearing this thing, you're parading around all proud, strutting your stuff, and you don't even know what you're doing. You don't even know what you're wearing. And so that's what the Forgotten Few is talking about, right? That's what we're talking about.
Do not create a Christian club or any type of club and come up with some variation of a diamond patch with a different number than the one in it and say, well, it's not a 1% diamond, and think you're going to get away with it. We will hear on the news you got hit in the head with a sledgehammer. Please be smarter than that. A lot of you who watch the show still email me bad things that happened to you, talking about I knew I should have listened. How about learn from the advice, not the hard way? Now let's talk about the Forgotten Few.
Now, our club came into existence almost 30 years ago. And at the time, we started off as a small organization, MC/car club. Car club is long gone. But the MC remains. And we wore a 1-piece patch that later became divided. It became a 2-piece patch, then a 3-piece patch. We wore SoCalif. Eventually we wore California. And now we wear Kingdom of God. And so we went through the evolution, but we did it by working it out and proving ourselves, standing on our word, representing ourselves and our club as men amongst other men. Outlaw, 1%er, and otherwise. We were a part of the Green Nation. We were an official member of the Green Nation. And we wore the green tabs. We wore the other patches that you expect from 1%er clubs. We wore the bolts. We had lightning bolts. We used the warbird. We represent all of these things. So, unfortunately, like clubs who skirt the line and get close to the other side, sometimes you run into some problems. And our club was no different. We had an issue. We got, some issue with law enforcement. And some brothers ended up giving up some time from their lives to deal with this. And, the leadership from the club all had to do a little bit of vacationing. And so our club, like secular clubs, endures or has endured these kinds of things as well, right? It's not like, we're sitting around at church reading the Bible all day. We're out in the streets. We're doing what we do. I mean, we're not running around trying to be criminals or anything like that. And we're not out at bars drinking. But, there's no telling what an individual brother might get into sometime. And so our club went through a period where it was under attack. And law enforcement came in and did some things, took some things, locked some brothers up, and we went through a whole rebuilding phase after that. So we changed up some things, right? We changed up some things, and we continue to grow. We continue to grow now. The chaff was separated from the wheat, isn't that the saying? And so the chaff was thrown out. It's gone. And the wheat continues to grow. So, and to feed. So we continue to move on. We're no longer a part of the Green Nation. We still show them respect. We respect them. We still have relationships with many of their leaders. I mean, there's a lot of young guys in the club now who don't necessarily know the history of the Forgotten Few and the Green, but it's there with the old timers. They know, right? We still, when we go to events, the relationships are still there with the older guys. But that's how we came on the scene. That's how we came through, step by step building. We didn't just jump out there like what Sose is warning people against. We didn't decide, hey, let's form this club, throw a diamond on it, cut up a 3-piece patch, and get out into the world. That's what gets you in trouble. Being respectful of the process. You got to be respectful of the code, of the lifestyle. And that's where a lot of these guys go wrong. They just go out and they brand themselves with these identities that sound cool when they saw on TV and look good, and then they get caught up and get themselves in trouble. They didn't work themselves through showing and demonstrating and earning. We like to say in our club that we've earned since the day we were created. Not that we don't call our patch holders. We call them patch earners, right? Because you earn that patch, and every day you wear it, you continue to have to earn it, right? As they say, once you get the patch, you gotta earn to keep it. That's who the Forgotten Few is.
MC. The Forgotten Few is a Christian outlaw club known for their outlaw symbolisms and their 6'6" diamond patch. They call themselves God's outlaws. They live by the code of the road, but they answer to a higher power. I saw an interview with them on YouTube, and they were talking about how they don't like how motorcycle ministries, they don't want to follow the protocol to become a full MC, but they want to move like their MC, and then they want to get around diamond clubs and get those relationships, but then still try to flex like, see, yo, we're around this club, we're around that club. So it makes them look tougher, and that's not really the mission of being a Christian MC. There's that politic side to it, even on that side where it's supposed to be spiritual and not have that. And I respected that they said that. They happen to believe in God, but when it comes to their colors or whatever, if you come for theirs, they will not give them up.
When I first joined the Forgotten Few, day one, when I got patched, is this patch doesn't come off your back. And that's what we instill in our brothers as they come into the club. We don't give our patches up. And so the distinction between us and some of these other Christian organizations, and I'm not calling any names on anyone, but I know for a fact that there are several Christian organizations who have it in their bylaws to give up their cut if asked, to give up their patch if asked, right? So that's something, that's a reality of it, right? The Forgotten Few is not built that way. It's not something we do. We're not asking for no problems. We're not provoking no problems. We're not asking to be tested or tried. Well, this isn't a come and try to get me thing. This is just saying our philosophy as an organization, as a brotherhood, versus what their philosophy is, right? Their philosophy is to give it to them if they ask for it. Our philosophy is no. Don't give it to them.
That's the code that they live by. And that's not an easy code to live by if you're living in Southern California, where every OG club started, and the major clubs out there are no joke. So you got to have respect, and you got to move with respect. And it's not all about being a tough guy. It's about being a man. The Forgotten Few is massive, with chapters stretching from Washington and California to Michigan, Texas, and even down into Mexico. The club maintains a presence that's both respected and recognized across the biker world. But what do they actually do? It's not just about the ride. You'll find the Forgotten Few feeding the homeless in Salt Lake City, organizing toy runs for kids, or standing guard for those who can't defend themselves. They have a strict quality over quantity mind state where it keeps them from expanding as much as other clubs, because they want solid members. And this is what all clubs should follow.
When you look at what it is to be a one percenter, if you look at those prominent individuals within the MC culture, Sonny Barger, right? One of the most legendary MC guys in history. You got one who's still alive, George Christie. You have Dave Nichols, who used to be the editor of Easy Rider, was also a member of, I believe he was a member of El Forastero, if I'm not mistaken. You have other notable people who are members of these elite organizations. And they all say pretty much the same thing, and that is that a one percenter is about the brotherhood, about independence, about kind of beating to your own drum, being loyal to your tribe, loyal to your crew, to your brothers, right? It's about taking accountability for self. These are all principles that we believe in. These are principles that are within Christianity. These are not foreign to a Christian. There are people who say, you're a Christian club. Why are you making people prospect? They should just be able to join. Jesus prospected the disciples. He called them. They didn't just walk up and join him. He called them to become part of his movement, his revolution, his organization. And he trained them to the point where eventually he sent them out in twos, 2 by 2. Right? They had a code. They had a protocol for how they were to live and interact. Take nothing. Right? If you go into a place, this is how you act. Eat whatever they give you. Drink whatever they give you. If you go and you have to and you're trying to share the gospel with them and they reject you, leave that town and wipe the dust off your feet. I'm paraphrasing some of these, right? I'm not quoting the scriptures exactly, but you get the point. My point is that Jesus had protocol. Jesus had procedure. Jesus had a way of doing things. Jesus was an outlaw. He didn't beat to the drum of the Sanhedrin. He beat to his own drum, the drum of God, of himself and God. Right? He was outside of that man's law or society's law. And so it's not a foreign concept to be, quote unquote, one percenter as a Christian. Many say Jesus was the first one. Paul certainly was a one percenter. What did they do to Paul? Paul, they were trying to capture Paul, throw him in prison and kill him. And the people said, Paul, if you go back to Jerusalem, they're going to put you in prison and execute you. What did Paul do? He went anyway. He went anyway. What did he call himself? The worst sinner. So, I mean, there's all sorts of references in the Bible that you could definitely attribute to a one percenter mentality. It doesn't mean you're out robbing banks, running guns, moving narcotics. That's not what it's supposed to mean. That's not what it means, right? But that is what, we've become used to because of how media shaped it, the entertainment business shaped it, and some of the prominent figures in this life have shaped it. But there's a whole lot of them that ain't into all that, right? They're into partying, having a good time, being independent, being free, doing their own thing. They're brothers and their organization. The Forgotten Few does not proselytize. We do not go out seeking to convert anyone. We're not trying to save everyone's life or soul. We have as our mission to form a brotherhood that guys who come out of the one percenter secular clubs, that come out of the prisons, that come out of the streets, the gangs, who want to have that brotherhood, that connection, can find peace in our membership, can find strength in our membership, can find support in our membership. We sharpen the iron of each other. That's our mission. That's our purpose, right? It's not to feed hot dogs to the homeless. It's not to baptize 68 people this weekend. That's not who we are. There are organizations that do that. That's their purpose, and that's fine. That's not who the Forgotten Few is. So, generally speaking, I think Sosa's video is cool. I like it. Do I agree with everything he said or how he said it? There's some things I would probably say, maybe word a little different, say a little different, maybe present a bit differently, but I don't think he said anything terribly wrong, So check out his video. Shout out to Sose. Peace.